from 1776 to 1913, a dollar was worth a dollar, right? Why is it called a dollar? We stole it from the Rothschilds in Holland. It was a dollar. And it worked pretty good. There was a little fluctuation around two wars. And it wasn't until the creation of the creature from Jekyll Island in 1913 that the dollar started its inexorable path to zero. And there have been 775 paper currencies in the history of the world. 3/4 of them no longer exist. The other 25% will disappear, and they are disappearing. And one of the things that I think is interesting, back to Michael's point about why doesn't somebody pick up the $1 trillion? It's like the old joke, right? There's a $20 bill. Guy's walking with the economist. He walks right by it. The economist says, or he says to the economist, why didn't you pick it up? He says, if there was a $20 bill there, someone would have already picked it up. So that's why people don't do it. And to Anthony's question, why is this so important? If you think about what happened to the dollar as more were printed, as this myth that inflation is good for you is a good thing, why would a system where over a 30-year period, half of your purchasing power disappears? Why would that be good? I ask people all the time, what's the cheapest price you remember for gas? Michael, Mooch, what do you remember? Mine's 33 cents.
I'm probably older than you. I'm going to say 27 cents. I'm probably older than you. And it was leaded. Okay, just give you a sense for how old.
Yeah, exactly. But, okay, so I paid $4.99 for a gallon the other day versus 33 when I got my license. It's the same gallon of gas. It does the exact same thing. It's actually a little less good because it's got ethanol in it now. So it produces the same amount of heat in an internal combustion engine. Why? Well, it's not that the gas is better. It's that the dollar got worse. I live in North Carolina, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, wearing my Carolina blue Go Heels, right? Play tonight. Here's the thing. Housing prices in this city are up 40% in the last 18 months. Did the houses grow? Did they get more efficient? Did something good happen to the homes? No, they wore out. They went down in value, but the dollar lost value. And there's the sinister part. People say, oh, it just happened. To Mooch's point, it's part of the plan. The plan is to impoverish the masses, make them dependent on the people at the top, give them handouts. What did Gavin Newsom just say? Oh, I'll give you money. What did Quebec just say? Oh, I'll give you money. What did Germany just say? I'll give you money. That's dictator playbook 101. Dictatorships have been doing that for years. You create a problem through impoverishing the masses. Your cronies all get rich because the value of their assets goes up because you inflate the currency away. Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Argentina. And then you hand them free stuff to buy their votes. I ask all the time, how can these bad people stay in power? They pay for the votes. Anyway.
So is that the next step here? I mean, you've got rampant inflation in the US. They're admitting to 7-8%, call it 8%. That's what they're admitting to. But I mean, if you look at this, it's pretty clear that inflation is not 7 or 8%. Housing prices are at all-time highs. You've got the war in Russia and Ukraine, maybe even doing a little bit of a favor because now they can blame the increase in food prices. And already that's the narrative. The narrative is, Putin's causing inflation. Everyone's forgotten that the Fed caused inflation or the government caused inflation. What happens with this inflation? What happens with this inflation problem this year?
It's not inflation, Rand. That's the problem. It's not inflation. It's currency debasement. It's debauching the currency. There's a difference. Inflation is caused by demand pull. This is not demand pull inflation. This is not the 1970s. This is the 1940s. In 1937, we were in QE and zero interest rates for 7 years since 1930 in response to the crash. And in 1937, the Fed tried to raise rates from 0 to 25 basis points and turned a garden variety recession into the Great Depression. And for the next decade, until what they do? A war. Okay. And war is a solution for everything. So whenever there's economic problems, okay, if Russia's got economic problems, what do? They start dropping bombs in the desert. If we have economic problems, what do? We start dropping bombs in the desert. Afghanistan has been occupied for 100 years between the United States and America. I mean, between Russia and the United States, back and forth, back and forth. It's an economic remedy for the problems that are created by bad policy. And the bad policy, the bad monetary policy, is what's gotten us here. And this idea that the Fed can somehow stop that thing that you just showed, the 98% increase in commodity prices, by 25 basis points in interest rates, comical, absolutely comical.
So what happens next? I mean, economists are predicting, or if you look at what the prediction chart is, 7.74 rate hikes for 2022, whatever that means in terms of the number. They're talking about 7.74 rate hikes.
There won't be 3. Take the under, take the way under. And what happens? You better buy Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's going to go up a lot, because Bitcoin's not going to get better. 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin forever and always. 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. It's not that Bitcoin gets better. It's that the currency we value it in gets worse. Bitcoin's never had a bear market in Argentina. It's never had a bear market in Turkey. It's never had a bear market in rubles. It had a bear market in dollars because people forgot how valuable it was. Today, the likelihood that the Fed and other central banks around the world are going to stop easing and stop doing QE, comical. There is no way out. When you get over indebted, whether you're a family, whether you're a government, you have 4 choices. You can pay it back. Okay? If we taxed the wealth of everyone in this country, we couldn't pay back the debt. Forget the income. If we taxed the wealth, we couldn't pay back the debt. So you can't do that. You can restructure it. Can't do that because someone has to take the other side. Chinese aren't going to take our restructured debt. Russians aren't going to take it. So that's off the table. Third, you can default on it. No chance. Because there's no left, there's no right, there's no Democrats or Republicans. There's in and out. And when you're in, you do or say whatever it takes to stay in. And if you default on debt, you're out. So you have to debase the currency. That is the only way out. And that's what every single one of them is going to do. And that means the price of real money, gold and Bitcoin, is going to go up.